Hey guys, so today I wanted to do kind of a little Photoshop tutorial for you because I've been super busy lately with work. I haven't had time to film, so I thought I would kind of show you how to edit photos of yourself to make it look like your skin is, kind of perfect, but not completely perfect, because I notice a lot of people Photoshop their pictures terribly that are like established bloggers and get sent amazing products from amazing brands, but they can't edit their face for shit. So I thought I'd use some of my Photoshop expertise to show you how to do it the right way. I guess it's not really the right way because there is no right way because everybody's way is different, and I'm just kind of showing you my way that I've learned over the years that I've had Photoshop, which is probably since my junior year of high school, which would be like 7 years ago. So I'm just going to show you how I take a generic picture of myself and edit it to be blog or Instagram worthy. So as you can see, I'm using Photoshop. I use Photoshop CC, and that is their new kind of system for Photoshop where you buy a monthly plan. It costs $10 a month, and you should definitely invest in Photoshop because it's a lot easier to edit your photos than anything else. This is the before of the image that I'm using. As you can see, it's extremely dark because I took it in natural lighting and it was kind of like nearing sunset in a way, so it just was kind of dark and not, it's very contrasty actually. Obviously, I have really, not terrible skin, but I just have a lot of acne scarring and some pimples that I needed to edit out of there. So that's kind of why I edit my skin in my photos. I don't really care about looking perfect, I just want to look better. Here is the after of this photo. As you can see, it's a lot brighter and my skin is subtly smoother, but it's not too much. I don't look like a plastic Barbie doll, and you can still see some imperfections, but it looks a lot better. It just looks how I look. And I'll also show you the Gaussian Blur. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's, I don't know, it sounds German or something. But that blur is the blur that all bloggers use. Well, not all bloggers use that don't know how to edit their photos of themselves. So that's what that looks like. And I did it very haphazardly, but as you can see, it blurs your skin way too much and just kind of makes it look like you're blind and you can't see yourself or something. It just looks really plasticky, Barbie doll-esque. This is like how I would edit my MySpace pictures in like 2008, let's be real. So although I already did all the editing work of this photo, as you can see the before and after, I'm going to start from scratch and show you each and every step that I do. So I'm just going to hide this layer so we start again at the beginning. And my one main tip for everything is to make a new layer for every single different thing you do. So as you can see, it's layer 0 right now, or it's just the beginning. And then I compressed everything into the other layers, but I'll show you how I do that now. You could either hit Command J to make a duplicate layer of the same image, or you can drag it down to this little post-it note looking thing and it'll make a copy. If you just want a layer without the same image, which probably only works if you're trying to like paint something on, you just click the post-it thing and it's a blank layer. So this layer I'm going to call my contrast layer, because I'm going to take down the contrast because that's probably the #1 issue in this photo. And you can do this more than once, but I just drag it down to 50. So as you can see, that already makes a huge difference. And then whenever you duplicate the next layer, you want to duplicate the most recent layer that you did. So if I duplicated this layer, the beginning layer 0, and did something like change the brightness, it's gonna basically ignore the whole contrast thing. So you need to do the most recent layer. So this contrast layer, I'm going to rename curves because I use curves for my brightness. Some people use brightness contrast, some people use levels, some people use curves, and some people use exposure. And I'm sure there are other ways. I think whenever I was learning Photoshop, basically what they said that there's like 50 ways to do the same thing in Photoshop, but people just have to find the way that they like the best. And I like curves because that's kind of what I was taught on. So the way the curve works is you just move this top part up and it makes it brighter. If you move the bottom part down, it makes it more contrasty. You know, you just play around with it. It's like a whole S-curve thing. You can add different points to it and it makes it like crazy. don't really do anything like that. Normally I just brighten it. So I'll cancel that. And mainly what I do with curves is I'll just brighten it like this. So that's what I'm going to do here. And I don't really have any specific rhyme or reason to it. I just click someplace at the top of the line and move it upwards. Next, what I'm going to do is get rid of some of these blemishes. So what I'm going to use is the spot healing tool or the clone stamp tool. The spot healing tool is the little band-aid, and what you can do is make it bigger, obviously, and just draw a line or a dot where you want it to go, and it'll erase whatever thing you're trying to erase based on what is around that pixel, that group of pixels. So if you want to do that, that's fine, but sometimes it doesn't work. Like, let's say I just went like this, and then it, it kind of messes up the picture. So you don't really want to do that on like huge areas. You can just do little dots, and it usually works fine. The clone stamp, you have more flexibility as far as what exactly you want to get rid of. So I'm gonna just go in a little bit deeper into the DMs now and just clone stamp some of these things. It's not a huge deal. Like, honestly, I don't really care about like having blemishes or anything show, but only if it's distracting I'll remove it. That's probably honestly all the blemishes that I'll remove, just because I feel like there aren't that many. It's more just like little texture than anything. And then next, using the same exact method, I'm going to show you how I fix my eyebrow, because homegirl has not had time to get a wax, so I'm going to delete the hairs. You can use clone stamp or spot healing brush for this again as well. I prefer spot healing at first, and then I'll go in with the clone stamp if I think it's really necessary. Just draw the line haphazardly, and it gets it. And the reason why is you select this content aware one, and it just makes it so it knows the content around the thing that you're selecting and just kind of makes it mimic it. But with clone stamp, you're actually, I'll show you, with clone stamp you're actually copying a pixel or a range of pixels from the thing and stamping it onto something else like that. I just made like an eyebrow hair dot. And here I would just copy the skin and delete the little hair parts by covering it with the clone stamp. But I think the spot healing brush is easier at first until you get to those parts where it's too close to this part of the eyebrow. That's super hard to get content aware with. Why is that eyebrow hair so fucking long? This is really tedious, but I'm really hairy apparently. And here it's getting closer to the part that I'd probably just clone stamp or just be happy with it, just because it's like, you can't make a perfect eyebrow on fleek from nothing. So I just have to do my best kind of a thing. Just gonna clone stamp a few more things if it's like those stubborn edge hairs. Okay, I'm gonna zoom out to see. See, that's pretty presentable. Maybe I'll get rid of the scrawny little rude ass hair that's like, hey, I'm gonna not follow the eyebrow. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. So that's eyebrow hair, less eyebrow hair. Looks good, right? Next is when I'll do the blur. And honestly, you could do all these little baby hairs too. I just don't necessarily care to do that myself because I think I look fine. It's not a huge thing to me. So I'm going to copy this baby, and then what we're going to do is blur. And if you're doing a bad blur, you're going to do the Gaussian blur, but if you're smart, you'll do a surface blur. That's what I've been doing for years, and I just kind of randomly stumbled upon it because I didn't want to physically airbrush my skin. I just wanted to blur it in a subtle way, and I kind of just stumbled upon this by playing with all the blurs. So right now I have mine set at 25 pixels for the radius and 31 levels for the threshold. This doesn't really matter. You can just play around with it and see. The more you do it, the worse it looks, I think. I think you just need a lower threshold, and the pixels, I don't notice much of a difference. I think it's fine the way it is. It is what it is. And then that's the difference that it makes. So what you do is you do that to the entire layer, just hit OK, and then what we're going to do after that is erase the portions that don't need to be blurred. I hope this voiceover is working because I don't have my microphone right now, and my computer sounds like it's about to explode. So I'm just going to erase parts that don't need to be blurred, like my eyes, my eyebrows, the lips, and then you can also do like the hair and like sweater thing. Sometimes I don't do it just because I don't think it's a huge deal. Because once you kind of lower the opacity of the blur, it doesn't really make a huge difference. Okay, and then that's the before and after of the blurring, and you're probably like, oh, that's still kind of extreme, like the Gaussian one. And that's because what you have to do is lower the opacity. And normally, whenever I was like airbrushing stuff in school, they always said leave it around 30%, but I could go up higher and think it looks fine. Normally I do it around 50 and think it looks okay still, and I still look like a real human being and not like a blow up doll. So I'm pretty happy with that at 50%. I think I pretty much went over everything I wanted to go over. After that, I would just compress all these layers and turn it into the second after one, since that's the one I filmed. So this is the before and this is the after. How similar is it to the one that I already did, I wonder? One. It looks kind of the same, but I can't really tell. Yeah, it's like barely different. Oh my god, that's so funny. Okay, so once you learn how to do it, it's really easy to replicate, as you can see. I think I just covered a few more blemishes in the first time I did it. Anyways, I hope you guys thought this was helpful. I'm not really like a Photoshop genius or anything, but I thought that my tips could be helpful for you guys. And if you're interested in more Photoshop tutorials, definitely let me know. I kind of want to do an Instagram tutorial, maybe like how to edit and take flat lays kind of tutorial. So let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!